Well, we have witnessed another day of some interesting events, to say the least. So, this is going to be a shocker for some of you. But it turns out, we still don't have all the results in from the Iowa caucus yet. Who'd have thought it, huh? Nonetheless, doesn't look like much has really changed. Last time I looked, still says percent of the vote, Buttigieg is ahead of Bernie. But they both are maintaining 11 delegates apiece, and Elizabeth Warren has 5 delegates. So, definitely looks about the same as it did yesterday. It just looks like everyone went up by 1 delegate. But that's not really the big news. So, obviously, I hadn't gotten to watch this when I recorded last night. But, of course, the State of the Union was last night. And we went on to hear most of the stuff you would have expected. Of course, Donald Trump says the state of our union is great. America's great again. Keep America great. The whole thing we're kind of used to hearing from Trump, more or less at this point, right? Of course, definitely some snubs back and forth between Trump to Pelosi, Pelosi to Trump. First one being, this is of course the more underreported one, that when Trump comes in, goes to give his speech, he hands the copies of the speech over, Pelosi reaches out to shake his hand, and he just completely snubs her and turns around, doesn't shake her hand. Again, the more underreported thing. What really stuck out, what has been covered all day long more than anything necessarily even said within the State of the Union speech, what has gotten all the press coverage, is that after it was over, Nancy Pelosi proceeded to go and tear his speech up. Now, let's be completely honest here. You could have disagreed with a lot of the stuff the man said. You could have disagreed with everything the man said. Do I think that was necessary? No. This was nothing but Nancy Pelosi playing politics and playing up to an audience that she knows hates Donald Trump. Is that the sort of behavior that she should be doing? No. Now, I know there's going to be people who are going to fire back and say, well, what about Donald Trump's behavior? Isn't he very, rude? Doesn't he do things that's not very presidential? Of course. And, hey, if you want to take the stance that he's not doing something appropriate, by all means, go for it. Just realize there's that old cliche, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Somebody has to prove they're an adult in the room and take the high road. Show they're the more mature. And this old denture-sucking hag is clearly not the more mature. She's corrupt, she's a corporatist, she's in the tank for big money, and she doesn't like the fact that Donald Trump doesn't kiss her ass and won't play ball for her. Okay? Now, does that mean that he's the true outsider? No, of course not. He just doesn't get along with her, and she doesn't like it. She's part of that spoiled elitist group, and in some ways, Trump doesn't play ball for them, and they don't like him for it. Okay? That being said, that rolls us right into the other nice little event that we found out about. Donald Trump was voted or acquitted in the Senate today. But there was one sort of surprise, I guess you could say, that came out of that entire thing. Now, we knew there were going to be some key votes up for grabs in this, right? We knew that going into this. Okay? But what we found out is that Mitt Romney decided that he would be voting to convict Donald Trump. Now, I saw this on the CNN clip. I haven't watched other clips. I watched the one CNN has posted on YouTube. Here's what I heard immediately after his long, very drawn out, very artistic speech he gave about why he's doing it and this and that, and basically saying that he felt that it was only the right thing to do by God himself because of the oath he took before God, before his maker. I must live up to my oath and do what is right in the eyes of my Lord. Okay? That's basically what his entire premise to all this crap was. Let's be honest, Mitt. Let's just be completely honest. Mitt Romney knows that the Donald Trump base does not like him. I didn't like Mitt Romney. Ever. Ever. He is that swamp Republican. By the way, the same Republicans who were completely against Donald Trump when Donald Trump was running. Of course, a lot of them have cozied up to Donald Trump since taking office because, well, it turns out a lot of that stuff he ran on, he didn't follow through on. But it doesn't matter because Mitt Romney is among the few who completely stuck their foot in their mouth and got on Trump's shit list before he took office. Pure and simple. Okay? They made it onto Trump's, list of enemies before he took office, before he actually even won the nominee. It was Mitt Romney who's basically saying that Donald Trump was this rude man and wasn't fit to be president. What did Donald Trump do? Bang. You begged like a dog for my money and my endorsement, didn't you, Mitt? Yeah, I remember you. You came to me and you begged like a dog. That was his response. And you know what the bad part of it is? We all know it's probably true. Mitt could deny it all he wanted to, but that's how politics works, and I think anybody that's not drinking some serious Kool-Aid here understands that. They get the money, they get bought off. So, of course, I'm sure he was very anxious to get some endorsement and some money and whatever, campaign contribution from Donald Trump. And it didn't matter how upstanding or deplorable he may have actually thought Trump to be. Money talks and bullshit walks. Okay? So, of course, he wanted Donald Trump's money. But now he wants to stand on this moral high ground. I declare the rest of the Republican Party, what we're doing here is not morally righteous. I might vote. My vote might be in the minority. But I respect my Lord. I respect my Lord, my God, and I will vote to do the right thing today. I will vote to remove Donald Trump because I have moral fiber. Bullshit. Complete and utter bullshit. Now, I'll say it again. Could someone technically vote on what they've brought articles of impeachment against Trump for and have a case? Of course they could. The problem is the hypocrisy of it. And it's such weak sauce. Of all the things they could have brought up against Trump, and again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. They picked the worst one out of like a nice list. Others would have had problems, and the reason each one of them would have had problems really getting over is because even if it is a bad crime, and there were crimes and actions done by the Trump administration and Donald Trump since taking office to me that were far worse than what we saw in these articles of impeachment, pure and simple. Soleimani being one of those. The problem with getting it to stick is he has the defense and the alibi when they bring it against him. He is going to be able to find at least one, possibly more, of either people sitting on Capitol Hill or former presidents who have done things very similar, and he will say, wait a minute, if it's so damn bad and it's such a crime, why did you not impeach them for this same thing? Now, of course, we all know that's not going to stop them from trying. We all know it's not going to stop them from trying to impeach Donald Trump. Of course, they'll move forward with it and play politics. But what it does is it then makes Donald Trump look like a martyr. The government has turned our entire system for this sort of check and balance on its head. Pure and simple. That's why these things would have such a problem working. because the American people would not buy into it. And even if you could convict Donald Trump and remove him from office, well, guess what? All that's going to do is make all of his fans who are loyal to him, all of his base, all of his supporters, his constituents, pissed off. Very pissed off. I've said it before, I'll say it again. That it would not have done any good. So what is Mitt Romney doing? He knows that base doesn't like him. Mitt Romney knows that base does not support him. Okay? So what's he doing? He's playing up just like Justin Amash and a couple others, like these jokers who are trying to launch primary challenges to Donald Trump. Okay? He's trying to pit himself as the sensible Republican. Play back up to the mainstream media. Maybe if he gets completely ostracized by the Republican Party, we will see a Democrat D come after his name instead. Would not surprise me at all. Keep in mind, guys, the Democrats do have a lovely new face to represent their corporate, elitist, interest, war-hawking, identity. They do have a great new face now, and his name is Bill Kristol. He's a Democrat now. Keep that in mind. A war hawk piece of crap and an absolute, waste of space like Bill Kristol now considers himself a Democrat. So maybe Mitt Romney will switch over to the Democrat Party. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. But that's what he's doing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think this is some act of moral fiber and standing by my faith and my values. No, Mitt. It's the fact you don't like Donald Trump. You haven't ever liked Donald Trump since he basically, smacked you down when he was running for president and, exposed your ass. You didn't like it. You're just like all these other politicians, like the Hillary Clintons of the world, like the Joe Bidens of the world, like the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, like the Bush families of the world, who still don't like Trump to this day because when he was running for president, he made a consistent habit out of smacking you around when he went on stage. Even though you weren't on the debate stage, he smacked you all around verbally in those rallies. And you don't like it. So you're trying to come back with retaliation all the years later. Now, again, take the impeachment stuff aside. My problem here is this moral high ground he's claiming with the religious factor. One thing I don't like are religious people. Now, let me put that in context for you. Somebody's going to take this out about, he don't like, I'm a Christian. I like Christians. I don't like religious people. I don't like Bible-thumping people who don't, as we say in the South, practice what they preach. Mitt, it's very clear to a lot of people. This vote of yours was not done for your moral fiber. It was done because you don't like Donald Trump. And of course, you tried to save face with your party. That's why you only voted that way on one of them, not both of them. Just a little interesting fact there. You tried to still come across like, the Republican, I just vote no, that way on one. Bullshit. Mitt, you did it because you didn't like Donald Trump. You did it because you have a grudge against Donald Trump. You didn't do it for the right reasons, Romney. Sorry, you just didn't do it for the right reasons. But since you claim this moral high ground for religion, even though Mormons are not exactly your typical Christians, Mitt, let's examine what even though I know the Church of Mormon doesn't read a typical King James Bible, and I'm honestly not extremely familiar with the Mormon religion, never really studied it too much. The only thing I know about them is that, they believe in something like the planet Kola and all this stuff. It's some kind of like hybrided version of Christianity, best of my understanding. Now, for those of you out there, if I'm wrong on that, I'm not trying to offend anybody by saying any of this stuff. I've never really looked into the Mormon religion all that much. I know it's more predominant, especially out in the Midwest as well. But what I will say is, since we're bringing up religious factor, turn to a King James Bible. What you would find is that, Mitt, retaliation, vengeance, things of those, nature, things of that nature, doesn't fit the belief of Jesus. That's the sort of thing he said you shouldn't do. That you should be the bigger man and turn the other cheek. So Mitt, don't get on your high horse here and start claiming religious, moral high ground for what you did. Pure and simple. You voted away. Vote that way. Vote. Say it was just, the right thing to do. But sit there and say, oh, against my party, it's the right thing to do. And then start claiming religion and all that crap in there. No, Mitt. Contrary to what this country has said about going into war over the years, God is not on your side. God, maybe this is me, when you consider the problems that this world has today, Mitt, I know you like yourself. I know you have an ego. But quite frankly, I think God's a little too busy to be concerned with what you voted on for impeachment, considering there's people in this world that don't have clean drinking water, considering there's war all over the world, considering there's millions of people every day living in poverty, can't get health insurance, dying because they can't afford to go to the doctor, living in poor conditions in all these, third world countries. The things that this planet has that actually affect people's lives much more than this impeachment issue had. The God that I've read about and was raised, to believe, okay, that the God that I read about in a Holy Bible, and the God that, I adhere to as a Christian, but not a Bible thumping religious nut, okay, that the God that I adhere to there, he's concerned with all those things, okay. He ain't concerned with what Mitt Romney votes on for impeachment, because that is by far one of the least serious problems that this planet faces. The world was going to keep on ticking whether you voted yes or no. So do us a favor and cut the baloney about the whole moral high ground religious stuff, Mitt. You voted your way. You voted the way you thought was best or whatever. But the religious thing, absolutely nuts. So, yeah, as far as Mitt Romney goes, the Republicans are going to be coming at him with forks and daggers. So, since you mentioned God into this, maybe you ought to start praying to him that you'll be able to survive your next re-election. Because, unfortunately, I don't know that the Democrat base is going to jump behind you. The DNC may jump behind you if you want to switch. Oh, I'm sure you fit the perfect DNC narrative. Let's be honest here, folks. Mitt Romney would make a lovely modern Democrat with the corporatists, okay? Mitt Romney would fit that mold perfectly. But I don't know that the voters are going to get behind you. Maybe, maybe not. I personally don't see it happening. There's too much of a movement. People are sick and tired of people like you, okay? So I don't see them jumping behind Mitt Romney, the voter base. But I can tell you this much. The Republicans are done with you. Wait and see. You have fixed your end, my friend. So enjoy it, because I will be thoroughly glad when you are out of office. I never wanted to see you get elected back to anything in the first place. You're nothing but a crooked scumbag. You, most of all those other corporate Republicans, and most of all those corporate Democrats, you're all cut from the same cloth, so stop claiming moral high ground.